The morning sun painted the wheat fields of Kepler-4 for to see in golden light when the sky suddenly turned dark. Governor Kim Gina was drinking her coffee in the colony command center when the first alarm sounded. She looked up at the main screen and felt her blood turn cold. Massive shapes were dropping through the atmosphere like falling mountains. The bioships were unlike anything in human design, living vessels that pulsed and writhed as they descended. Their hulls were covered in chitinous armor that gleamed wetly in the sunlight, and long feeding tubes hung beneath them like the tentacles of some deep-sea nightmare. Vorthok Swarm confirmed, said Communications Officer Park Min-ho, his voice shaking. 17 large bioships and hundreds of smaller ones, their landing attack pods all across the southern continent. Gina had read the reports about the Vorthok. They were an ancient evil that swept through star systems like a plague of locusts. They consumed everything: plants, animals, people, even the soil itself. When they finished with a world, nothing remained but bare rock floating in space. What? About our defenses? What? She asked, though she already knew the answer would be bad. Security Chief Lee So-min looked up from her console with tears in her eyes. The orbital defense platforms are gone. They hit them first. Our ground batteries are trying to fight back, but their weapons just bounce off those bioships. We have maybe 3 hours before they break through our shields. The communication channels were filling with screams and desperate calls for help. The outlying farms were being hit first. Gina listened to the reports and felt sick. The Vorthok didn't just kill people quickly. They used some kind of harvesting process that kept victims alive while they fed. The lucky ones died fast. Governor, we're receiving evacuation requests from all sectors, said Park Min-ho. But where can they go? The Vorthok are everywhere. Looked around the command center at her staff. These were good people who had followed her to the edge of human space to build something beautiful. They had turned this empty world into a paradise of farms and schools and small towns where children played in safe streets. 50,000 people called Kepler 442c home, including families from a dozen different human colonies and even some alien friends, would join their community. Now they were all going to die because she had led them to far from help. About the nearest military base? She asked desperately. Proxima Station is 6 days away, So-min replied. Even if they sent every ship immediately, we'd be gone before they arrived. Gina watched the tactical display as red dots spread across her world like a disease. Each dot represented thousands of Vorthok attackers spreading out from their landing sites. The colonists were fighting back with farming equipment and hunting rifles. But it was like trying to stop an ocean wave with a paper cup. She thought about her own daughter, safe in the inner colonies, and about all the children on this world who would never grow up. She thought about the families who had trusted her judgment when she promised them a safe new home among the stars. Then she thought about something her grandmother had told her long ago. When you're drowning, you don't worry about disturbing the neighbors. You scream for help as loud as you can. Min-ho, I need you to open all communication channels. Every frequency we have. Military, civilian, commercial, even the old emergency bands that nobody uses anymore. Park Min-ho stared at her. Governor, that's against colonial authority regulations. We're supposed to follow proper channels and wait for official response protocols. Our people are being eaten alive, Gina said quietly. I don't care about regulations, but if we broadcast on open channels, everyone will hear it. Pirates, smugglers, alien governments could cause diplomatic problems. Gina looked at the tactical display again. The red dots were moving faster now, consuming her world piece by piece. Do it. The communication array powered up to maximum strength. Every satellite and relay station began broadcasting her message across space in all directions. The signal would travel for light years, reaching human colonies, alien worlds, space stations, and ships throughout this entire sector of the galaxy. Gina took a deep breath and spoke into the microphone. This is Governor Kim Gina of the Human Colony on Kepler-4 for to see. The Vorthok swarm has found us. They're dying. Our children are dying. Anyone who receives this message, please help us. We have maybe 3 hours before our shields fail completely. Please, if there is any mercy left in the universe, help us. We have families here. We have children who just learned to walk, and old people who came here to live in peace. Please don't let us die alone." Her voice broke on the last words. Through the windows of the command center, she could see the bioships moving closer to the capital city. Their feeding tubes were already extending toward the ground like hungry mouths. The message raced through space at the speed of light, carrying the desperate plea of 50,000 humans who had nowhere left to run. Captain Choi Do-yen was checking the cargo manifest when his ship's communication system crackled to life. The Morning Star was 3 days out from Proxima Station, carrying medical supplies to the Outer Rim colonies. It was boring work, but it paid well and kept his small crew employed. Navigator Han Yuzhen looked up from her console with a strange expression. "Captain, you need to hear this transmission. It's coming in on multiple emergency frequencies." Do-yeon walked over and listened. As Governor Kim's desperate voice filled the bridge, the woman sounded exhausted and terrified. Behind her words, he could hear explosions and people screaming. When the message ended, the bridge fell silent. "Where is Kepler 44 to see?" Do-yen asked quietly. "6 hours away if we push the engines too?" Maximum Yujin replied. "But Captain, we're just a cargo ship. We have basic shields and one small laser cannon. What could we do against the Vorthok?" Do-yen thought about his own daughter back on Mars. She was 8 years old and loved to draw pictures of spaceships. He imagined her trapped on a dying world with monsters coming to kill her. The thought made his chest tight with anger. "Change. Of course," he said. "Maximum burn to Kepler 44 to see." "Sir, are you sure? The company won't like us abandoning our delivery schedule. The company can go to hell." Do-yen sat down in his captain's chair and opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Choi Do-yen aboard the freight hauler Morning Star. Governor Kim, if you can hear this, we're coming. Hold on. Help is on the way." It wasn't much, but it was something. One small cargo ship against an alien swarm that had destroyed entire star systems. But Do-yen couldn't just fly away and leave those people to die. What he didn't know was that his course changed, had been noticed by the automated traffic control systems. When a registered cargo vessel suddenly diverted from its planned route, the computers flagged it as unusual. Within minutes, other ship captains in the area were asking questions. On the mining world of Series 7, Captain Bae-suho was loading her into his industrial cutter when he heard about the distress call. His ship was designed to cut through asteroids. Not fight aliens, but the massive laser could probably damage a bioship if he got close enough. "Load the emergency supplies," he told his crew. "We're going to help some people." The luxury liner Stellar Princess was halfway to the resort world of Capella when Captain Kim Min-seok received the message. He had 300 passengers aboard, who were expecting a relaxing vacation, not a rescue mission. But when he announced the emergency detour over the ship's communication system, something amazing happened. Half the passengers volunteered to help. The ship's doctor, a retired military medic named Lee Sunmi, began organizing a medical team. A group of engineers started modifying the ship's maintenance robots to carry emergency supplies. Even the entertainment staff began planning ways to keep rescued children calm and safe. Within 2 hours, dozens of ships had changed course toward Kepler 4 for 2C. Within 4 hours, it was hundreds. The hyperspace communication networks were buzzing with messages as captains shared information and coordinates. On the heavy transport Big Bear, Captain Jung Woo-shik was hauling construction equipment when he heard the call. His ship was slow and clumsy, but it had powerful manipulator arms designed for moving heavy machinery. "Those arms could probably grab a bioship," he told his crew. "Let's go find out." The passenger transport New Hope was carrying colonists to a new world when Captain Kim Nari made an announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've just received a distress call from fellow humans. I'm changing course to help them. Anyone who wants to get off at the next station is welcome to do so. Anyone who wants to stay and help save lives, you're welcome to." Every single passenger chose to stay. Word spread beyond the ships in space. On Earth, Admiral Park Ji-hoon was in a meeting when his aide burst in with news of massive unauthorized fleet movements. On Mars, shipyard workers began loading weapons onto any ship with a working hyperdrive. On Luna, the Merchant Captains Guild sent out a general message. All available vessels proceed to Kepler-4 for to sea. Emergency rescue operation in progress. The response wasn't ordered by any government. No military commander had given the word to attack. It happened because 50,000 humans were about to die. Other humans couldn't stand the thought of letting that happen. Governor Kim's simple plea had awakened something deep in human nature. Something that said no one dies alone while there's still breath in human lungs. Something that turns strangers into family with just 4 words: please help us survive. As the growing fleet of rescue ships raced through hyperspace toward Kepler-4 to sea, each captain carried the same thought. These weren't just random colonists on a distant world. They were humans. They were family. Family doesn't abandon family, no matter how far away they are or how dangerous the journey might be. The ripple effect had begun, spreading across human space like wildfire. Soon, the Vorthok would learn what happened when you threatened human children. Admiral Park Ji-hoon stood in the command center of the battleship Indomitable, staring at a tactical display that showed something he had never seen before in 30 years of military service. What looked like the largest fleet in human history was converging on a single point in space, and none of it was official. Admiral, we now have over 1,800 vessels heading for Kepler-4 to sea, reported Fleet Communications Officer Song Houn. Her voice was filled with amazement. Everything from heavy cruisers to pleasure yachts. The Lucky Dragon is a casino. Shipped from the Outer Rim, the Sweet Dreams is a luxury yacht that somehow got military-grade weapons. There's even a school transport ship full of teachers who are volunteering as medics. Ji-hoon shook his head. Any word from Colonial Command? His aide, Lim Jawan, looked uncomfortable. They're still having meetings, sir, arguing about jurisdiction and proper procedures. Some politicians are worried about starting a war without permission. All people die, Ji-hoon muttered. He had already made his decision hours ago. The Third Fleet would join this impossible armada, and the politicians could complain later. What's the status of our volunteer fleet? Captain Choi Do-yen of the Morning Star got there first and is trying to coordinate everyone, Song Houn replied. We have mining ships with industrial lasers, cargo haulers carrying explosives, passenger liners full of civilians who want to help. Half of them have never been in a real fight. The tactical display updated again, showing more ships dropping. Out of hyperspace around Kepler-4 for to sea, Ji-hoon watched in fascination as the motley fleet organized itself. Somehow, without any central command, the civilian captains were forming battle groups and sharing resources. The mining ship Deep Dig had linked up with 3 cargo vessels, creating an improvised strike force. The luxury liner Starlight Dreams was coordinating with a dozen smaller ships to form an evacuation fleet. Even more impressive, ship captains were sharing weapons and supplies with vessels that had arrived unprepared for battle. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface, Song Houn announced. Governor Kim's voice filled the command center, exhausted but still fighting. To all the ships that came to help us, I don't know how to thank you, the city. Shields are failing, but you bought us time. We're loading children and elderly onto the evacuation transports. I can see your ships fighting in orbit, and I want you to know that we will remember this forever. We're nobody special down here. It's just farmers and teachers and shopkeepers. But you came anyway. Admiral Ji-hoon activated his communication system. Governor Kim, this is Admiral Park Ji-hoon of the Human Defense Fleet. You're wrong about one thing. You are special because you're human, and that makes you family. Nobody hurts our family. As the Indomitable dropped out of hyperspace, Ji-hoon got his first direct look at what they were facing. The Vorthok bioships surrounded the planet like a cancer. Dozens of the massive living vessels were extending feeding tubes toward the surface. Some were as large as space stations, their hulls pulsing with organic life. Smaller attack craft swarmed around them like angry insects, but surrounding the alien fleet was something unprecedented in galactic history. Nearly 2,000 human. Ships of every size and description floated in loose formations, armed with everything from military weapons to improvised mining equipment. It was the most diverse fleet ever assembled, united by nothing more than a desperate plea for help. All ships. This is Admiral Park, He broadcasts on all frequencies. I see mining ships, cargo haulers, passenger liners, and pleasure craft. I see people who traveled hundreds of light years because someone asked for help. Today, we're all warriors. Today, we show these monsters what happens when they threaten human children. The response came from hundreds of ships at once. Voices of merchants and miners, teachers and tourists, all speaking the same words. Ready to fight, Admiral? Captain Choi Doyen's voice cut through the chatter. Admiral, the planet's shields won't last much longer. We need to hit them now, or those people are going to die. Jahoon looked at the tactical display one more time. The Vorthok had been terrorizing the galaxy for centuries. They had destroyed countless worlds and consumed billions of lives. They were used to overwhelming isolated colonies that had no hope of fighting back. But they had never faced anything like this. They had never encountered a species that would drop everything and travel across space simply because strangers needed help. They had never fought an enemy that turned a cry for help into a call to war. All ships, Admiral Jahoon announced battle stations. Civilian vessels, stay behind the military screen and focus on evacuation. Combat ships, prepare for assault. Mining vessels, those industrial lasers, are our best weapons against their bioarmor. Everyone else, follow my lead and remember why we're here. Paused, looking out at the incredible fleet that had assembled around his flagship. We're here because 50,000 humans asked for help, and we couldn't say no. Let's bring them home. The battle began with something that would be remembered across the galaxy forever. Captain Yoon Seri of the luxury yacht Starlight looked at the massive Vorthok bioship blocking her path to the planet and made a decision that shocked everyone watching. This is for the children, she said calmly into her communicator, and pushed her ship's engines to maximum power. The Starlight was a beautiful vessel designed for wealthy tourists, not warfare. But Seri had loaded every storage compartment with mining explosives donated by other ships. As her yacht slammed into the bioship at full speed, the explosion lit up space like a new star. The desperate act sent a message through the entire human fleet. If a luxury yacht captain was willing to die for strangers, then everyone could fight. Mining ship Deep Dig was next. Captain Young Tae-young had never fired his industrial laser at anything but asteroids, but the massive cutting beam sliced through Vorthok armor like it was made of paper. These tools work pretty well on monsters too, he announced, as his beam cut a bioship in half. The cargo hauler Big Bear used a different approach. Captain Young Woo-shik deployed his ship's massive mechanical arms, designed for loading heavy equipment instead of cargo. He grabbed a Vorthok attack craft and literally tore it apart with his bare metal hands. Come on, you ugly bugs, he shouted. Let's wrestle. Admiral Park tried to maintain some kind of order, but the battle was turning into the most chaotic fight in human history. Military ships fought alongside fishing boats. Passenger liners traded fire with bioships while evacuating colonists. Even a food transport vessel was ramming smaller Vorthok craft. Civilian ships maintain evacuation patterns, park broadcast, military units, escort formation, mining vessels. Concentrate your cutting beams on the capital ships. But the civilian captains had their own ideas about how to fight. Captain Kim Nari of the passenger liner New Hope had opened all her docking bays to take on refugees from the planet. While her ship was loaded with frightened families, she used the liner's point defense guns to fight off Vorthok fighters trying to stop the evacuation. Nobody touches my passengers, she said, shooting down another alien craft. On the planet's surface, Governor Kim Jina watched the most incredible sight of her life. The sky was full of explosions and laser fire as 2,000 human ships fought to save her world. She could see Captain Choi Do-yoon's Morning Star using its medical supplies as improvised bombs. A school transport ship was firing teaching equipment that had been converted into weapons. They're actually winning, whispered Communications Officer Park Min-ho. These crazy humans are actually beating the Vorthok. But the aliens weren't giving up easily. The largest bioships began pushing through the human fleet toward the planet. Their feeding tubes extended like hungry mouths, ready to begin the harvesting process that would consume every living thing on Kepler 44 to see. All ships, emergency protocol, Admiral Park announced. "Every vessel that can enter atmosphere, follow me down. We're taking this fight to the ground." What happened next broke every rule of space combat. Military cruisers and civilian transports dove into the planet's atmosphere together, fighting bioships at close range above the colony cities. The passenger ship Dream of Tomorrow used its massive bulk as a shield, protecting the capital, while Captain Shin Wonho coordinated ground evacuations. The luxury yacht Golden Bird was so small it could fly between buildings, using its racing engines to dodge bioship weapons while firing sporting lasers at alien ground troops. Captain Osaijin had converted his pleasure craft into the galaxy's most expensive fighter plane. The tide of battle turned when the Vorthok made a critical mistake. Realizing they were losing, the alien commanders ordered a retreat to their massive hive ship. The bioships began pulling back from the planet, trying to escape into deep space. Admiral Park saw the retreat begin and made an announcement that would echo through history. "All ships, listen carefully. These monsters came here to harvest our people. They came here to kill our children. They don't get to leave. No mercy." The human fleet, instead of celebrating their victory, pursued the retreating aliens with the fury of parents defending their young. Military destroyers fought alongside pleasure yachts. Cargo ships battled beside racing vessels. A casino ship, Lucky Dragon, fired its entertainment lasers at bioships while passengers cheered from the observation decks. The final assault was led by every human vessel still capable of flight. The Vorthok hive ship, massive as a small moon, found itself surrounded by 2,000 ships crewed by beings who had traveled across the galaxy simply because someone had asked for help. Captain Bay Suho of the mining cutter Stonebreaker delivered the killing blow, his industrial laser cutting through the hive ship's main feeding chamber. As the alien vessel died, its bioships went silent across the battlefield. The Battle of Kepler-4 for Tsi was over. 50,000 humans had been saved by 2,000 strangers, who came because they couldn't stand the thought of letting anyone die. Alone, in the aftermath, as rescue ships collected survivors and military vessels secured the system, one message was clear throughout the galaxy. Humanity had announced itself as something new and terrifying, a species that would cross the stars to answer a cry for help. 3 months after the Battle of Kepler-4 to Sea, Baster Kethfer of the Galactic Council stood before the assembled representatives of 47 different alien civilizations. The large chamber was unusually quiet as he prepared to deliver his report about humanity's actions. "The tactical recordings are clear," Kethfer said, activating a holographic display that showed the massive human fleet. Within 6 hours of receiving the distress call, nearly 2,000 human vessels converged on Kepler-4 to Sea. No government orders were given. No military draft was declared. No rewards were promised. They came because someone asked for help. The alien representatives watched in silence as the recording showed luxury yachts ramming bioships, mining vessels cutting through Vorthok formations, and passenger liners evacuating colonists while under heavy fire. The Vorthok delegate, one of the few survivors of the battle, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "The psychological analysis is disturbing," Kethfer continued. "Individual humans spent their life savings, abandoned profitable cargo runs, and risked their lives for people they had never met. Captain Yoon Seri, who died ramming her yacht into our bioship, had no military training. She was a civilian who chose to sacrifice herself for strangers' children." On Kepler-4 to Sea, Governor Kim Jina walked through the rebuilt capital city. Memorial plaques lined the main street, bearing the names of the 347 humans who had died saving her world. Children played in parks that existed only because strangers had traveled across the galaxy to protect them. Captain Choi Do-yeon had survived the battle and now served as the colony's defense coordinator. His daughter had moved to Kepler-442c. After the battle, saying she wanted to live on the world her father had helped save. "I want to be where heroes live," she had told him. "The strategic implications are clear," Kethfer told the Galactic Council. "Humanity doesn't just defend their military installations or major worlds. They defend any place where humans live." Attack one human settlement anywhere in the galaxy, and you face their entire species. The Centauri representative raised one of his tentacles. How is this possible? No species behaves this way. Self-preservation is the primary instinct of all intelligent life. Kethver displayed another recording showing a small cargo ship ramming a bioship 10 times its size. For humans, apparently not. They have turned mutual aid into a military doctrine. They have weaponized compassion. The recording showed the aftermath of the battle. Human ships had stayed for weeks helping rebuild the colony and sharing supplies with the survivors. The luxury liner passengers had donated their vacation money to buy new farming equipment. Mining ship crews had used their industrial tools to help construct new buildings. They didn't just fight and leave, Kethver explained. They stayed. To help rebuild, some humans permanently relocated to Kepler-44 to help the colony grow stronger. They turned a rescue mission into a permanent commitment. The Andromedan delegate spoke up, her voice filled with worry. What are you recommending, Ambassador? Kethver looked at the tactical display one final time, showing 2,000 ships of every description united by a single desperate plea. I recommend we never give them cause to respond to our distress calls, because if we attack them, they will come. All of them, and they will not stop until we are destroyed. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. But more importantly, I recommend we never become the kind of species that makes human children cry for help, because they will remember who hurt their people, and they will make sure it never happens again. The meeting ended in contemplative silence, but word of the human response spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Trade routes began avoiding human space, not out of fear of their military, but out of respect for what they might do if provoked. Pirates stopped raiding ships with human cargo. Even the most aggressive alien empires began treating human diplomats with unusual courtesy. On Earth, Admiral Park Ji-hoon received a promotion and a new assignment, commanding the Rapid Response Fleet, a permanent force designed to answer distress calls from human colonies. But he knew the real deterrent wasn't his military ships. It was the knowledge that any attack on humans would bring thousands of civilian vessels racing to help, crewed by ordinary people who couldn't stand the thought of letting strangers die. The galaxy had learned something important about humanity. That day, they weren't the strongest species, or the most advanced, or the most numerous. But they were something more dangerous than any of those things. They were a people who would cross the galaxy for strangers, who would turn a cry for help into a declaration of war, and who would never let anyone die alone if they could help it. The message was clear to every civilization in known space. Humanity had announced itself not as conquerors or traitors, but as protectors, and that protection extended to anyone brave enough to ask for their help. The Battle of Kepler 442c had ended with more than just a military victory. It had established humanity's reputation across the galaxy as the species you called when hope was gone and death was certain. The species that would always answer. The species that would always come. Because that's what humans did. They helped.